One of the fascinating things many people are drawn to are films that make them psychopaths. The theme, in essence, allows the expression of our unconscious shadows within ourselves to get that rage on, exploring every side of the adrenaline rush. One thing is for sure, psychopath movies are realistic, not very far from reality. It's always a good thing to close your windows at night. Welcome to Access Multimedia Top Picks. We give you the top 10 psychopath movies you should be paying attention to. But before anything else, be sure to like and subscribe to our channels for more brutally creative updates. Number 10. Gone Girl. This novel by Gillian Flynn is such a page-turner. Gone Girl tells the story of a frustrated housewife who fakes her death and watches from afar as her husband takes the fall, only to later realize she can't live without him. One day, the wife Amy disappeared until it became an investigation to the police, and here comes her diary that is read in voiceover and accompanied by flashbacks. The audience will follow through the diary entries from before to a later date, where Amy plans to incriminate her husband. This will shake you to the core because these two protagonists are both contradicting, leaving you questions above your head. Can we trust what Amy tells us via her diary? Is one of the spouses lying? Are they both lying? When you think of it, watching Gone Girl all throughout will make you feel sick, but you can never deny the fact that it's truly brilliant. Number 9. American Psycho. Hailed as one of the most classic films of all time, American Psycho takes us through a few months in Bateman's life as we bear witness to his bloody existence. Here, we get to meet Patrick Bateman, an investment banker living large in New York City in the 1980s. A very attractive guy who is also incredibly stupid. At night, he's a ruthless serial killer who murders random people and even people he knows. The film gets disturbing as it gets to its middle part, but only you can define your own direction in this film. Then you figure that almost everything that happened in the movie was in Bateman's head. But surprisingly, no. In the movie, it will clearly show you bloody settings and killings. What about the bloody apartment in one of his kills? The killer is also confused. To warn you with that, this film will make you feel that it was all his hallucination, and then you realize you become lost too. So much for a thriller that it also left you confused. Number 8. Seven. This David Fincher masterpiece is one of the classic movies on gruesome murder by a serial killer who has his own theory about the world. Seven follows Somerset, played by Morgan Freeman, a retiring police detective, and the newcomer Mills, played by Brad Pitt, who are paired together to work on a brutal case involving a serial killer. When a man is found brutally murdered in his home, Somerset realizes this is no ordinary killing and someone tortured him because of his appetite. The two detectives quickly discover that the slayings reflect the 7 deadly sins of gluttony, greed, sloth, envy, wrath, pride, and lust, leaving them on a desperate search to find the mysterious person who is responsible for these horrid murders, only to find out that they are involved more than they can ever imagine. Years and years, this film keeps haunting people who watch it for the very first time. Wanna give this a try? Number 7. Split. Split is a type of film where it will make you realize that the more you understand the antagonist, the scarier it gets. Split revolves around the story of a man who suffers from dissociative identity disorder, resulting in him having 23 personalities, which keeps appearing. He kidnaps 3 teenage girls and locks them up in an underground storage facility, and the authorities have to befriend his friendly personalities to rescue the girls. This film is a total package, a thrilling reminder which exemplifies and isolates us into all our authentic fears. It will keep us guessing over time. But the real deal here is the actor James McAvoy, who is impressive. The way he handled each personality, changed his mannerisms, body language, and speech patterns to characterize each one. It was amazing, nearly creepy that will haunt you to sleep. Number 6. Black Swan. Black Swan by Darren Aronofsky is an excellent film, the critical darling of its time in cinemas, popular for its psychological theme. Played by the ever-gorgeous Natalie Portman, the story depicts a young woman's tragic journey through her first episode of psychosis. Nina is a talented ballerina whose stress intensifies as she works to perfect the role of the Swan Queen in her professional ballet company's production of Swan Lake. Nina epitomizes the qualities of the white swan, but struggles to achieve the loss of self-control needed to perform the black swan. While striving to embody this role, Nina loses touch with reality. This film is the epitome of professionalism in careers, but also leading you to the destruction of your life because she became perfect, but except in that area. It's a mixture of all beauty, parallels of a dream, and getting into perfection in the atmosphere of dark and eerie steps to overcome. It totally ends with such a banger. Number 5. Shutter Island. People come to Shutter Island and streaming services or digital platforms in the late 2020s will have their own range of emotions. This film is the 4th collaboration between director Martin Scorsese and his go-to leading man for the 21st century, Leonardo DiCaprio. The plot revolves around a U.S. Marshal who investigates the disappearance of a murderer who escaped from a hospital for the criminally insane. In 1954, up-and-coming U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels was assigned to investigate the disappearance of a patient from Boston's Shutter Island Ashcliffe Hospital. Shutter Island explores the psychological thriller through the lens of Catholic guilt. You don't have to be Catholic to experience guilt, of course, but that's the perspective that Scorsese, the pre-seminary dropout, has brought to many of his films like this one. Shutter Island is meant to offer an obtuse and dense guessing game to its audience. It isn't easy to win in this guessing game because the movie is continuously moving back and forth. The depth and psychology of this film is intensely moving and it will leave you thinking about it for days. Number 4. A Clockwork Orange. A Clockwork Orange is Alex Kubrick's most controversial film, yet one of the most fascinating ones. This is the story of Alex, who is a member of a vicious teen gang. He and his friends are much engaged in a type of drug which causes them to do random acts of brutality against defenseless people. Alex murders and was sentenced to prison. He gradually adjusts to life behind bars, but one night, he and his cellmates meet a new prisoner who dies. Alex is chosen to undergo an experimental program called the Ludovico's Technique, a brutal form of aversion therapy that includes Alex watching films of Nazi atrocities. A Clockwork Orange is a shocking film with sadistic, ultra-violence in the first half of it, leaving you gasping for air. Better late than never, but kid you not, this is such a masterpiece, but not before the masses. And it's not for a mundane cinema, a total cult classic. Number 3. Silence of the Lambs. The Silence of the Lambs first shocked audiences by introducing them to pop culture's most notable serial killer. This 5th highest-grossing film of all time in 1991 is a story about a young FBI trainee who is currently hunting the serial killer who skins his female victims. To catch him, she seeks the advice of the imprisoned Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist and a cannibalistic serial killer. This movie deals with some incredibly mature and sickening subject matter that will undoubtedly make your skin crawl. Cannibalism, murder, depraved acts of violence, and heightened suspense are all methods that the film uses to terrify its audience. However, those with a stomach to handle it will find an excellently made movie with incredible acting performances, as well as one of the most gripping and thought-provoking stories in the history of horror genre. So if you're up to things like this one, better go watch it now. Number 2. The Shining. Based on the Stephen King book of the same name, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is an instantly recognizable and influential piece of horror film history. Even if you haven't seen The Shining yourself, you know a lot more about it than you should through parodies, cultural references, and word of mouth. It circles around the story of a man, an aspiring writer, and recovering alcoholic who accepts a position as the off-season caretaker of the isolated historic Overlook Hotel in the Colorado Rockies, together with his wife and son. His son Danny is gifted with psychic abilities named Shining. The plot thickens as the man's sanity deteriorates due to the influence of the supernatural forces that inhabit the hotel. It is the film's mysteries that people will find reason to revisit the film again and again, searching for something they missed last time, leaving so much of the movie open to interpretation. The Shining has remained a cultural influence over these years because of the beauty of its cinematography. It is also about the strength of humanity, about fear and abuse, and about finding out who the real monster is. Number 1. Psycho. Psycho is an American suspense film and a psychological thriller released in 1960 that is loosely based on the real-life killings of Wisconsin serial murderer Ed Gein. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock, it centers on an encounter between an embezzler, a shy motel proprietor, and its aftermath. After the series of events, a private investigator held a case of her disappearance. Psycho is considered as one of Hitchcock's best, for it is being praised as a major work of cinematic art by international film critics and scholars due to its slick direction, tense atmosphere, impressive camera work, and a memorable scoring and iconic performances. It is the quintessential shocker that will keep you guessing throughout the film's entire runtime, right up until the monumental twist ending. What makes Psycho immortal is when so many films are already half forgotten as we leave the theater, this film connects directly with our fears that we might impulsively commit a crime, our fears of the police, our fears becoming the victim of a madman, and of course, our fears of disappointing our mothers. Now, which one caught your attention? Let us know through the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more brutally creative contents. Thank you for watching.